For me, I did not grow up wanting to be a police officer. I would say I was the opposite. The area that I grew up in, I would say that or excuse me, when I grew up, my interactions with officers weren't always the best. I had a need for them, whether it was family violence, things that were happening at my home, and they had to respond to help us during those situations, being pulled over, questioned. I was pretty much in an area where I grew up on the opposite end. It wasn't until I got a job at the Bear County. I was a job as a security monitor. I'll be the one that checked people's bags when they came in, the metal detector, the x-ray machine, wand them down. And it was at that time that I ran into or started interacting with deputies there. And that was the time that I was able to personalize with them. I was able to communicate with them and to be able to find out that they were just like me. That's a big thing in this community and in our job as safe officers. It is our opportunity to go out there and let people know that we are human too. So that's where I ended up doing that. I did have friends and family in my life that encouraged me to take on this opportunity. And for sure, if it wasn't for them and a lot of other people, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Everyone, welcome back to another video here at Middle School Career Readiness. Today is going to be for the Behind the Scenes of Public Safety podcast. We have 3 San Antonio police officers with us, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is Officer Hailey Gil. I've been with SAPD for 4 years.
Officer Jesse Armendariz.
I'm Officer Arturo Castellanos. I just hit my 20 years this year, and thanks for having me.
All right, so our first question is, could y'all talk a little bit about the department you work for, San Antonio Police Department?
Yeah, it's a fun job. It's a good department, a big department, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different people, a lot of different opportunities, different departments to work on. It's a good department. Enjoy it.
And the city overall is very diverse, so we get a little bit of everything, each service area that there is.
Our next question is, could each of y'all state what rank you are and how you got to that rank?
I'm just on patrol. I can't move ranks yet until I hit my 5 years. So once I hit 5 years, I'll be able to try to promote to be a detective and move up the rank.
Yeah, I'm a patrol officer as well with the Central Safe Unit.
Same thing. Safe officer. I've done 20 years of service. Like the officer said, pretty much you have to go through a promotional process exam in order to promote through the process. For me, it was a personal choice not to take that route. Definitely things that were outside of my control. Sometimes you got to weigh work-life balance. And for me, myself, it was a life balance that took me in a different route. So here I am as a patrol officer.
Okay. What inspired y'all to become police officers?
My uncle, for me at least, my uncle was a police officer. He would always tell stories of his day to day on patrol, and I was very interested. By the time that I was at the age to do a ride along, I did my first ride along, and it's like, yeah, this is for sure what I want to do, and it's something different every day for me at least. I don't like sitting in the office all day. I like going out and taking calls and staying busy.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I wanted to have a job that was different every day. I want to be able to drive fast and catch bad guys and run after bad guys. So I figured, you know what, this is the only career I can do that in.
For me, I did not grow up wanting to be a police officer. I would say I was the opposite. The area that I grew up in, I would say that or excuse me, when I grew up, my interactions with officers weren't always the best. I had a need for them, whether it was family violence, things that were happening at my home, and they had to respond to help us during those situations, being pulled over, questioned. I was pretty much in an area where I grew up on the opposite end. Uh, it wasn't until I got a job at the Bear County. I was a job as a security monitor. I'll be the one that checked people's bags when they came in, the metal detector, the X-ray machine, wand them down. And it was at that time that I ran into or started interacting with deputies there. Um, and that was the time that I was able to personalize with them. I was able to communicate with them, and to be able to find out that they were just like me. That's a big thing in this community and in our job as safe officers. It is our opportunity to go out there and let people know that we are human too. So that's where I ended up doing that. I did have friends and family in my life that encouraged me to take on this opportunity. And for sure, if it wasn't for them and a lot of other people, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay. Um, I know a lot of things happen in a typical day for a police officer, but could you sort of explain the things that happen every day in the day-to-day life of a police officer?
But my office, I guess I'll start off with that. It's a little different than officers that are responding to 911 emergencies. Most of the time, you log in. Before you log in, you have a roll call, and they'll let you know what are the big things that are happening for that day. Anything that happened in the prior shift, anything that we might be looking for. It's been a while since I've been on that patrol aspect. For me now, what I do is come into the office and just do a lot of follow-up. What's happened in my area? Answering phone calls that are coming in. At the same time, I'm trying to respond to emails, trying to respond to voicemails, trying to get back to the community in regards to what it is that they need. So that would be like the first maybe 1 or 2 hours where I'm just trying to get back with everybody. And then after that, I log in, load up my equipment, and then head out to respond to a lot of these issues that are coming out in the community.
I would say on patrol just because I just came off weeks ago. Um, you start out, you have roll call, like the other officer explained. They'll tell us, what happened throughout the night. If there's, still stuff going on, we'll have to go find our patrol car, load up all our stuff. Just because on patrol we all share cars. So there's 4 shifts, and 2 of those shifts they each share the car. So you'll go load up your car, and then pretty much just see what calls are in your district. Take those calls first. And then after that, it's just if there's other calls that aren't in your district, just try to help everybody out. And but all the calls for service pretty much range. It's everything you can think of. There's family violence calls, hang up calls, accidents. We have a lot of mental health consumers too in San Antonio, so that's probably the majority of what my day at least would be like on patrol.
Yeah. In our area, we have a lot of homeless, a lot of drug activities. So that's the majority of the complaints for us. We'll be going over there, cleaning up homeless camps, and seeing what kind of resources we can offer the homeless, and then we'll go to a school and go speak at a school. So it's kind of all over the place. Every day is a little bit different in our units.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of your job?
I would say for me, myself, is trying to stay true to what our core values are. Pretty much it's integrity, compassion, respect, and fairness. I think sometimes we forget to do those things depending on who we're talking to. Sometimes we'll offer that to somebody that's like us and or who is at a higher uh, part of our department, say our city council or mayor division, or our command staff. But we sometimes fail or come short to the people that are probably struggling in their life and their journey through life. So that would be the most challenging thing that I have. And my goal is to be constant on those things. Um Also, like Officer Armendariz said, we deal with the homeless community, and they're definitely not doing their best. They're sometimes at their worst. They're coming through challenges of whether it's something that happened to them when they were growing up, and then or some mental health concern, and they're supplementing it with some kind of drug use. So that's also challenging. And like he mentioned, having to now go out there and remove them from what they consider their shelter or their home, and that can be very challenging, but at the same time, it's very important work. It's trying to build that relationship with that individual so they are able to trust us to seek outreach before we have to go out and clean up the area they consider their home. So I would say all those are interconnected. And then if you're able to implement those guiding principles that we have with everyone to the best of your ability, I think you'll always be successful.
I think one of the biggest challenges for me was um, like some of the issues that we deal with, or people have complaints on, or they're calling police for. For us, it could be something very small that, for us wouldn't typically be an issue or a problem per se that, we'd call 911 for, but you have to have that compassion to understand their side. Like, that's their issue. Let me help them and figure it out because maybe they can't figure it out right now. So that was probably one of the hardest things for me at first, especially at first coming onto patrol, because it's like, man, some of these issues to me aren't really big issues, but to whoever that is, it's going to be their issue, and that's why they're calling us, and we have to figure out a way to help them, whether how small or how big that issue might be.
Yeah, and I think they both kind of touched on what I would touch on, so I don't want to repeat what they said. So we go to the next question.
Okay. Um, what training did you go through with San Antonio Police Department to become a police officer?
The academy is like 8.5 months long, 9 months. We do driving, tactics, shooting, academics. We even do we fight well, they do we fight, wrestle. They would call it MOA at the time, but yeah, we pretty much everything that they had us do is very useful. Even small stuff that you didn't think that mattered, you'll end up doing it. Like you'll go back to your tactics. Like I don't know. They're just little stuff, but they pretty much hit on everything. Our academy is very good.
Yeah, it's 8 months the academy, and then it's another 3 months of riding with the FTO. So you're out there for 1 month on one shift, 1 month on another shift, 1 month on another shift, and then you have like a 2 week grading period. So they put us through a lot of training, and then every year we go back for a little bit more training for a week or so. So it's quite a bit.
And I think they hit on all the basic stuff of what it is, but there's not many people that make it through. It's very challenging training environment, and you really have to want to take on that challenge. We've had many people with a lot of experience try to come through, and they didn't make it. We had people with limited life experience, and there was something inside of them that allowed them to get through. So to keep it as basic as the time frame and what it is you do, it's more than that. It's what I've been told because I had to do college courses after my training academy. Was almost like taking a college course and at the same time some kind of basic training. So you don't just have time to sit there and soak things in. You better soak it in while we're telling you some kind of stressful situation. So in my opinion, our training academy at the San Antonio Police Department is one of the best in the nation.
I agree.
Okay. How would you say that the role of policing has evolved since you first started?
They could probably touch on that more than I can.
Yeah, so whenever I first started,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for my first year there wasn't no body camera. So I guess a lot of times people would say stuff happened and there was no way for us to kind of defend ourselves. Like, hey, this it was different. Now everything that we do is recorded. Everything that other people tell us and how other people act is recorded. So we're able to reference that body camera a lot. It's pretty helpful. I mean, from what I've seen, it helps out a lot. There's a lot more. Basically, anything we do now, there's people on the side of the street recording. There's people over there antagonizing us, trying to get us to say stuff or get in trouble. So it's I've only been officer for 8 or 9 years, and it's changed a lot in that time. I can imagine Art has a lot more experience on that to touch.
Yes. Yeah, I would say a lot. The big ones, I believe we are more proactive. I know as far as our first responders or our 911 patrol officers that respond to calls, that seems to be the same. We're more of a reactive in that point. But I think overall, our department is trying to do things where they're implementing units to be more proactive, to go out there and actually find and engage with people better than they used to. And then I think we touched on it on the mental health side as far as that unit goes. When I first started and how we dealt with anybody in a mental health crisis is way different than we do now. We talk about the word de-escalation. Before then, we're just trying to, I would say, wing it. Let's see what we can do to the best of our ability. And sometimes it wasn't resolved. Now we have all these steps in place to get that person assistance. We talked about reports. Reports have definitely changed even before I was on. We used to write maybe a report on something like this big, right? And then when I was starting off, it was just everything was paper copy, everything was pen to paper. Now we have this, and I think we'll talk about some of the technology later, but it has come way beyond what we've had. Tasers are a new thing than before when I started report writing software, and then of course we also have what's called license plate readers. That's something that's pretty cool that's been added to our patrol vehicles, where now if you want to research a license plate and you can actually pinpoint what that vehicle seems to be at all times. And then the best one that I like is our drone unit. That's definitely a great piece of technology that has helped us a lot in being able to get closer to a situation and then monitor from a different perspective.
Okay. Could you share a memorable moment, not necessarily a call that you had, but just one of the memorable moments from your career as a police officer?
I would say for me, it would be on a call. I've had it a few times
I would say for
actually.
me, there's several. There's definitely things that have always challenged me as far as public speaking has been one of them. So that's one of the reasons I took the opportunity to be. Oh, sorry.
That's back.
No, I just think it's lagging. You can go. I think it's
I guess there's like a delay within both of ours.
yeah. Okay.
So I'll keep going. Hopefully, we don't overlap. Um, it's all right. So I'll try to, I guess, finish. Thanks. I'll try to finish off, I guess, where I ended up. The thing is that I took opportunities within the department to try to better myself as far as public speaking goes. So I would say my time at the training academy as an instructor was pretty awesome. I believe Jesse had the same opportunity and experience, and from my personal experience with him as an instructor, I do want to say he was awesome at it. And I believe that's my job now to kind of take those opportunities and let people know how good they are at things. Because if you don't do that, then somebody will never know. They could go through their whole career not doing that, not knowing how good they did. Besides that, just the different types of people that I've met through my career, the different types of people that have helped me through my career. the support that I've had from my family. Those are all memorable moments for me. But I would say the most recent one was taking the opportunity or being presented with the opportunity to be part of the 60th presidential inauguration task force. Right. So there was a great group of guys that were selected to go over there and provide that
Oh,
security service. Uh, to be part of a what was it, a hotel um, conference room, huge as who knows what, and just filled with all kinds of different agencies and officers, and getting to meet those officers from all across our nation, uh, and being part of that was super awesome. In the meantime, I do appreciate you doing this for whatever that's worth, and I'm hoping to end it with that. It brings me hope, right? Because sometimes you think our youth is not really focused on the most important things. And then when I meet people like you, it's rewarding. So it kind of gives me that, okay, we do have somebody out there that's willing to understand these first responder uh positions, right? They're not easy. And if you're able to share that to people just like you, uh that's way more than we could do. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely. I know I talked to a lot of different people, and lots of them are saying, they go out to like these schools and stuff to talk, and not a lot of the kids are actually paying attention
Hmm.
uh, to what they're saying and stuff, not actually interested in it. So I hope
Yeah.
what we're doing is helping.
No, if it's not helping anybody, I'll tell you it's helping me. It should be helping the other two officers. They're great officers. Anybody willing to take the opportunity to do this profession is always going to be awesome in my book. But I think when you give the opportunity to people to speak and
sorry, I don't.
engage, that
It
does a
keeps
lot more.
messing up over here. I'll talk about one of the calls that sticks with me. I had a guy. He basically wanted to end his life and wanted to jump out of one of the parking garages downtown, and I pretty much talked him out of it with the help of some other officers. But um, after that, he we got him some help, and he kept thanking me afterwards, telling me how much it meant to him that we actually sat there and listened to him about what his issues were and got him the mental health help that he needed. Haven't seen him again, but I hope that he's doing good now.
Yeah. So mine is we got it was one of the few times that we get an authorized pursuit. So we got to get in a vehicle chase, and it lasted like about 30 minutes. So it was a lot of fun. We were going like 100 miles an hour. It was doing everything I wanted to be an officer and do. So we ended up catching the guys. Nobody got hurt. We got the guy. It was a car that was stolen. We got the car back. It was a blast. I wish you can get into those more often, but it's few and far between. So that's my most memorable moment.
Okay. What do you think is a common misconception about police work or the police force in general?
That all we do is pull people over and write tickets, which for us, I mean, for me at least, I don't really like writing tickets, especially for, these people that are going to work every day and trying to make an earnest living, I don't like giving tickets. And that's not all we do, especially on patrol and then on safe now. We try the most to not give out tickets and be those bad guys. I feel like here, especially at safe, um, like they touched on earlier, like we're really trying to help people more now that we actually have the time on safe to go and give, especially all the homeless people, the resources they needed. I'd rather get them resources than, scratch them a ticket for camping. It's more like, okay, let's move along and let's try and get you some housing resources.
Yeah, I'd say mine is that for some reason everybody thinks we like eating donuts. I don't like donuts at all. It's not.
Like,
It's never really that fulfilling at all.
He's lying.
For me, I don't like donuts. So yeah, that's mine.
I would say a couple of things, and they're all kind of the same, which is that we're not afraid, right? Some people probably think, oh, this guy's not afraid of whatever it is that he's heading to. that this person is mean, right? I just talked to them and they just gave me this whole attitude back. Uh, and pretty much they feel sometimes that we're not human, right? And sometimes it's our fault because we do show up to calls and we try to put this face of, hey, I'm the guy that's going to help you out because there's so much going on and I need to make sure that everything's okay. Uh, the misconception that I want people to understand is that we're people just like anybody else. We have our own problems. We have our own health issues. We have family with health issues. Sometimes I think they'll look at us and they just see the uniform instead of seeing the person behind the badge.
Okay. And I know each of you touched a little bit on this, but how do you build trust and relationships with the community that you serve?
I think mostly, just like I touched on earlier, just being compassionate and letting them know, hey, like you have stuff going on, I have stuff going on too. Maybe it's not the same as you, but we all have stuff that we struggle with or, financially. Um, but it's hearing them out and making them feel heard. Sometimes they feel like that's all they're not getting is they're just not feeling heard, and if we give them that ear to listen, they feel a lot better. And for me, that's the easiest way to
Yeah, I think for me, it's the majority of the time on patrol, we go deal with people like in their worst moments, like at their worst times. So the cool thing with Safe is with our all of our unit is we get to go and we get to go to a bike rodeo and see kids having fun and actually like show them that, hey, we're not here just on your worst days. We're here on good days too. We can laugh with you, joke with you. You know, we've been to events where we play a little basketball with kids and just we show them that we're not only here for the bad stuff. We can be here for the good stuff too.
Yeah, if there's anything I wish that officers on patrol would get the opportunity to do, even though some say they might not like it, was to have those experiences where you are going to a place where people want you to be there, right? They support you. Sometimes we get to so many calls over so many years that we start thinking like every single person is a bad person. No, it's just most of the time every single call that we're dispatched to is a bad situation. So like Officer Gil said, she hit on a lot of key points, and that's just listening. Sometimes we don't take the opportunity to do that, and people will just, appreciate you just taking the time to listen, 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 and then you show them respect because most people are angry, so they're definitely not going to show us respect when we first get there. But if you make them understand, hey, I don't know, I haven't talked to you. Maybe you're thinking of another officer that talked to you in a bad way, but to me, does you want me to treat you like you? So treat me like me. Try to give me that mutual respect. So treating people like you would want to be treated. And again, it's realizing that you're dealing with real people with real problems, and our job is to hopefully help them to the best of our ability.
Okay. Um, I know you talked about the body cams and now filling out reports on the computers. So how has the role of technology in modern policing evolved over time?
I would say the big ones will be because that's the big ones that I kind of thought of. The report writing system is huge because it used to be that we would have these handwritten reports and then those reports would be submitted to the sergeant for approval and then they'll finally make its way to the follow-up unit. Sometimes you'll be able to fax it, right? And then it evolved to emailing. But by the time that got presented to them, what is the patrolman trying to look for? What is the safe officer trying to look for? They can't find anything unless they go and request that information or get forwarded. Now with this system, it's a simple search. Yeah, I got this address. Let me punch in that address on this search, and it's almost like searching something on the internet. You get all the information that the actual handling reporting officer wrote, and that is key because the faster you can get that information, the faster you can respond to it, especially in our unit, being part of the safe community engagement unit. I think it's awesome. The license plate reader again, that's super awesome because even with a partial plate before you're like, oh, partial plate, I can't do anything with that. Now you can get a partial plate description of the vehicle, and if one of our vehicles has passed that vehicle, you can get a pretty great description of maybe the vehicle or absolutely the vehicle, but maybe even the driver that operated it. So I think those are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really like the license plate reader. We didn't that's fairly new. Um, like you said, we can get stuff all kinds of way now with that, or or you want to see where that vehicle's been at, for drug activity per se. For us, if I see a license plate, maybe I'll type it in that license plate reader and see where that car frequents, so I can see, okay, it's all over here on the west side. Now it's on the south side around 2 a.m. every night. So I really do think that's very handy for us.
Yeah, I kind of agree. All right, everything they've touched on is all the technology we really see. The license plate reader is awesome. We're able to recover all sorts of stolen vehicles using that thing, and it kind of pops up on the screen and says, "Hey, stolen car," and you're there trying to do a U-turn as quick as you can. So it's an awesome tool.
Okay. Uh, how do you balance enforcing the law with community outreach and engagement?
I think community engagement is the foundation of everything. It's like anybody else. If you don't trust somebody, are you going to tell them any of your problems? You're not. There's no way. So by being out there, especially for us, and getting those opportunities to engage with the community, hang out. That's pretty much all we're doing, hanging out and listening and saying what's up. Now they get to know you as you, not police officer in a uniform. And now that's where people are going to learn to trust you and give you the information that you know. Now, with that information that we receive, now we're able to go to our units that deal with that type of situation. Hey, I got this problem. Can you put eyes on it? Can you let us know what's going on? And then when it all gets wrapped up together with all the information that we need, that's where both of us as a team go out there. And then nothing is better than that community member that reached out to us to see that you're out there alongside these gang units or narcotics units, getting rid of that problem for that neighborhood. So again, community engagement is foundation because that's the thing that people are going to learn to trust you.
Okay. The next one is, could you talk about uh, what de-escalation tactics are and a time when you used them and it made a difference?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, or not awesome, but interesting how we've all dealt with something similar where it involves somebody with a mental health crisis, and how doing those things of engaging with the individual, sympathizing, using compassion to the best of our ability, those are all de-escalation tactics. For me, that's more recent is definitely the homeless communities, right? Where we're out there. They know that something's coming. They know we're going to take over and clean up all their mess that they left behind. They know, but for them, it's personal possessions. It's the most meaningful thing for them. So they're going to offer some kind of anger, resistance. They're going to look like they want to fight. And ultimately, it's letting them vent, listening. And then at the end of the day, it's also offering help. And then reminding them how many times you offered that help. Hey, man, this been X amount of days I've asked you. I come back, every day I come back and actually taking the outreach person with you and saying, let's meet up. So they can never say, they can argue the point that they never received the help, but there's definitely a lot of proof that we do offer that help. So respect and empathy are the things that are going to allow for things to calm down when things are super intense. But I definitely like Officer Gil's story because it does remind me of one that I might share later on. Uh, so pretty awesome.
Okay. Could you talk about the relationship that police officers have with other first responders, firefighters, paramedics, how y'all incorporate or work with them on different calls that you have?
We're pretty much a team, just like the officers mentioned. I have great friends that are part of the San Antonio Fire Department, super awesome guys. It used to be that we would just be the ones that secure the scene and make it safe for them to start doing their job. Now it's just like Officer Gill said, we're doing it together. We build teams together, whether it's for that active shooter, uh, or now we're also responsible to start providing that first aid. We carry first aid kits with us, and that's important, especially if it's another officer that's been seriously injured. We now have that training to do it, just like our fire department would. So, yeah, super cool guys that I know that are part of the team, and definitely, like they mentioned before, I think they're sometimes jealous of how awesome we are more than they are.
Could you describe what some of the patrol cars look like model or make, model, different things that you carry inside your vehicle, different equipment?
Yeah. I would say the same thing, just carry what I need, nothing extra. But yeah, there's definitely some officers in our unit that will carry everything. And just like Jesse said, we do have officers that carry everything, and you know who to ask. The MacGyvers, I guess, of the unit, right? So for me, it's the Ford Interceptor. We also have available the Ford Tahoe, or excuse me, the Chevy Tahoe. But those are, I think, being phased out. But mainly it's that vehicle. They are equipped for a quick type of response, and definitely have a safety feature for rear impact, if I'm not mistaken. So mainly if we're out in the highway and then the vehicle does hit the vehicle from behind, uh, that's very important for that. So, uh,
Okay. The next question is, what does your everyday carry look like? What you carry on your belt and on your person?
yeah, just like the officer said, Smith and Wesson 9mm is the handgun that we carry. Two additional magazines that we carry, handcuffs, flashlight. More than one is typically the thing that we promote. The taser that's what I have also. I don't carry the pepper spray anymore. It seems like more people are hurt on our side versus the person we're intending it to use it for. But of course, our everyday carry, right? Which I had to write a note on that because if I don't, I won't remember it. But it's our brain, right? That's the most important thing that you need to carry every day. All these other tools, they're useless if you don't know how to use them, if you don't train for them. And sometimes it's what you have here that's going to avoid from you having to use anything else. So that's the most important thing you need to carry for the rest of your career.
Okay. The next question is, how do you decide to make the switch from non-lethal to lethal?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So when they'll log back in, so it's when you're faced with a deadly threat, and that could be anything. That could be some person that's bigger than you, stronger than you. They look like they know how to fight. They're wearing a T-shirt that says, "Hey, I know how to fight," whatever
Yep.
that is.
I know.
Uh,
I don't know why.
that's when you
It must be
start
our
trying to
office, cause
assess.
all right. Can y'all hear us now?
Yes.
Yes, I think they got logged out. So it's those things, right? So you start off with commands, right? The first one is how you look. Do you look the part? Do you look like somebody that knows they know what they're doing? Or are you having difficulty even getting out of your patrol car? So ultimately is, do you look the part? Because that's the first thing. First impressions is that's going to carry you a long way. They're going to know this person looks squared away. This person looks like they know what they're talking about. This person is actually asking me through conversation of what's going on and how you ask and how you tell people what to do. And then you have non-lethal options, right? We discussed the baton, we discussed taser, we discussed the pepper spray, right? And so those things are options, and even those things, just displaying them is enough for some people. They know, okay, this person's about to use it. But when you start recognizing that those things do not work, then that's when you have to transition to lethal force. But that's only if it's absolutely necessary. Because even just pointing your gun, that's a display of lethal force, but that's sometimes enough for somebody. So ultimately, we're trying to do all the non-lethal stuff way before, and then sometimes we don't even have that opportunity because it presents itself so fast to make that decision. That's definitely going to impact a lot of people.
So, one of the examples I kind of wanted to touch on was as far as lethal force. It's situational. Every situation is different. A lot of people are under the impression, hey, there's a guy with a knife and he's acting aggressive. Why doesn't the officer use the taser? But what we're trained in the academy is, they can get to you really quick with that knife, and if you're there trying to tase them, it could be bad for the officer. So in a situation like that, like if they have lethal force, we got to match lethal force with lethal force. Now, if they're just trying to fight with us, we can use a taser. So every situation that presents itself is different, but I kind of want to touch on that because I've seen that a lot on social media, different websites, and I've even seen TikTok videos about it. They're like, well, why did he use a taser on this guy with a knife, or why didn't he just shoot his hand? It's those. It's so. If they have a knife, it's just as dangerous as a gun. They can get to you really quick and they can hurt you. So
I think they touched on everything.
Okay. The next question is, and y'all touched on it a little bit, what kind of first aid training or medical training do you receive as a police officer?
In the academy, we receive, I would say, basic first aid training. You can further your training. There's different schools that the department offers. But as for me, I've only gone through, what was taught in the academy, and it's kind of like, someone gets shot, to find the gunshot wound or find whatever wound they have, and try to pack that wound, to get the blood to stop. And then if it's on a area that you can apply a tourniquet, I'll apply that tourniquet as well.
yeah, definitely a lot of training with tourniquets. A lot of courses on like stop the bleed. There's a major wound. We also get training in what's called Narcan. Basically, if somebody's overdosing, it's a spray that you put in their nostril, and it kind of brings them back from from having like a seizure on the sidewalk. Kind of wakes them back up and gets them back to being responsive. So definitely some of that kind of training is what we've used a lot.
Yeah, I think they touched on everything, especially since I would say most of the time we're the first responders that can provide the most immediate first aid, which will make the difference in the success of that person recovering from it. So we constantly hear that. I think another one is just AED training, is that they offer for us, or the use of the machine. But I think they touched on everything else.
Okay. Could you tell us about one of the most dangerous or most stressful calls that you've had in your experience as a police officer?
Uh, I'll just start it off real quick. It's probably not going to be as active as Officer Gill said for hers, but it was similar. And it was pretty early on, which again, I reflect on those things like how soon her time of service and how quickly, right after the academy, something crazy like that can happen. So for us, it was a response to a mental health call. It was one of those Fridays where you're just like, oh man, the calls are just going to be call after call after call. There's going to be like no breaks, no nothing, here we go. And then the next thing you hear on the radio is somebody that you recognize by their voice as saying, put the knife down. Right. And now you're just going from this, oh, this type of day is going to be a drag to where is that officer and how fast can I get there? I don't know where they're at, but I'm going to put lights and sirens and then hopefully go the right way. Ultimately, again, this is pre all mental health training that we've had. Again, we go to a lot of, I recall a lot of these calls where we would go and we're just trying to agree with the person, like, oh yeah, I see that thing too that you're dealing with, or yeah, I understand that, but then you leave and really offered no help. So that's the type of time frame that I was in. I would say that 2006, 2007 time frame, just before we started implementing a real serious mental health training. So we get to the call. Call involves some individual that broke into ex-wife's house. Ex-wife showed up. There he is. Officers show up, and he's there with two knives. We learn from him, from the spouse, that he's prior military. He's been dealing with some sort of PTSD, and he's very upset that now he's going through a divorce. even with all that non-training, I see a lot of the things that were being applied by our sergeant that showed up that day as part of that de-escalation. So where everybody talks about like this being a new thing, there was always something there. It was just not put to paper or to a strict or kind of an organized training. So the sergeant shows up, he sees the officers pointing the guns in the door of the second story apartment. Sergeant gets there super calm and collected. Back then, our sergeant's average time was 25 to 30 years of experience. That was also patrolmen that were out there with that type of experience. So he pulled everybody back, pulled them out of the staircase, pulled them all the way back. And just like Officer Gill mentioned, so many officers with their guns out, ready to take action if needed. He comes down, has these knives, just kind of clanking them, kind of has them in this, instead of this traditional up and down, it's kind of like, okay, so he's kind of showing, hey, he probably has some experience with those knives. So now he's a threat to us and to anybody that's there around him. At the end of the day, we tried our best to try to calm down the situation, uh, but he wasn't listening. What I appreciated the most out of that call was that there must have been 30 officers there, and the only officer that took an action was one shot to stop that individual. And unfortunately, he did not live. But I really commend the composure that a lot of the officers had, because that definitely could have been a situation where there would have been one too many officers taking a shot at him, and then there would have been some kind of crossfire situation that happened. But I really appreciate that that moment in time, before anything was ever implemented to a structured mental health response, that we took an action that was the best that we had at that time. So to go from that time to now is definitely night and day. So talking about stressful situations, it wasn't necessary if the guy was going to come towards me, but was somebody going to be resilient enough with a weapon, another officer, to not fire in my direction, especially when they were charging at him with a knife. So I definitely think that as one of the most stressful incidents for especially the officer that had to take that action.
So the next question is, in your own words, would you explain what the mission of the San Antonio Police Department is?
Treat everybody with compassion, fairness, and then it's another big one. I guess just be earnest and honest. You know what I mean? I'd like to say, as a whole, our department, it's filled with good guys, and we all try to do the right thing. Whether that for some people, the public's eye doesn't look like the right thing, but for the most part, as long as I think the big thing for our department is integrity.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, no matter what any officer on the department is going through, or what they got going on, if someone's calling for help, I feel like I want them to be able to have confidence that we're going to be there to do the right thing and help them out, go get the bad guy, and make the situation better. I think that's every police department's goal, is just to help who needs to help. And I feel like we do a pretty good job of that.
Um, I think sometimes when people ask, who do you work for as officers, we sometimes go with for the San Antonio Police Department. I believe that the mission for us is that we work for the citizens of San Antonio as a member of the San Antonio Police Department. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Be a servant of the people. If you don't have that mindset, no matter who that person is, then you're gonna have a hard time. If you go at somebody and telling them what to do, well, they're tired of people telling them what to do. They want people to listen to them and be compassionate about it. So that's the whole mission. Be Work for the citizens as being a member of the San Antonio Police Department. I think that's a clear mission.
Okay. Uh, the next question is, do you have any advice for someone who's interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement?
Start off, do it for the right reasons, right? Don't do it because you think it's gonna I guess, make you a superhero or something like that. That's not it. Uh, you need to be strong in tough moments and make your community and yourself and your family proud of you, right? Every decision that you make when you talk to people, yeah, it has to be, if my mother or whoever I respect the most in my life was standing here right next to me, would they be proud of how I'm interacting with this person? Now, that's not taking away from somebody that's actively hurting people, actively trying to hurt you. But even then, once you take care of whatever you need to take care of, you need to make sure you're showing the person dignity and respect, no matter what happened. Because taking on this job, you're going to take on people that want to challenge society. So just making sure you're doing it for the right reasons. If it's just pay, if it's just benefits, then you can find better pay and better benefits somewhere else. This is not the job for you. And that's all I have.
The next question is, if someone's in the area, they're watching this, and they want to join San Antonio Police Department, how would they do so?
I don't know if it's just my side is kind of dragging or lagging. So the advice would be, or excuse me, recruiting website touched on that. You can contact the recruiters. You can even go on a patrol, a ride along, right? With your whatever your department is, call them, ask them. I'm sure there's age restrictions and forms you need to fill out to be able to do it. But those are key also. Look into, like the officer said, the training, the pay. There are some agencies that will try provide minimum training. Here we are, 33 plus weeks of training for our department. It's continuous, and they don't care about prior law enforcement. They everybody starts from the beginning, and that's been a traditional thing to try to get people through to understand, hey, this is the way we all work in this community. And then community support, research that, look into, hey, does that community support their police officers, or is this community challenge? What's the turnover on that department? Those are huge. And paying benefits, we have people from all across the nation coming to our department, and those are the type of people that I pick their brain. Why did you choose us instead of where you're from? And the key ones are community support, pay, and benefits. So those are key when you're trying to join our police department.
Okay. And then the very last question here, do you have any questions for me?
I think I touched on it during our little delay. You mentioned I usually ask people, why do you do the things that you do? To me, it's pretty obvious. You're just trying to educate yourself. You're trying to give a platform to us, and that's the one that I appreciate the most. So really, no other additional questions. I do want to say thank you very much. You know, at your age, you're man, you're going to be you're already super successful. You're just going to get that much better. And for me personally, I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to personalize us. Personalizing the badge is key, letting people understand that we're all just human trying to do the best job to the best of our ability. Sometimes we fall short. You know, it's like what I tell people: if you were to take a college course, and at the end of the course you were like, for us at the end of our training, and I asked you recite every single thing that the instructor told you and don't mess up, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I think I forgot about 90% of whatever it is that they taught me. And now add stress. Here's boom, now here's an emergency. Now, man, you're lucky if you get 1% of whatever it is. And hopefully that's going to be the best decision that you make. So I really want to thank you for that, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for volunteering for this interview. Usually, either they don't respond to the emails or I just get like one person. And when the PIO told me we had 4 people, I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a
Great,
lot of people.
definitely
Yeah.
great officers over here with Jesse and Haley, and then of course, what's your other officer's name? He from
Hardaway.
East, right? No, not Hardaway. I forget his name. He's an awesome, awesome officer. Just his name escapes me right now. But he has
Alonzo.
a lot of knowledge. Yes, he has a lot of knowledge. He is definitely somebody that's in touch with the community, and people respect him. They reach out to him with any problems, and he takes actions on those issues. and he's one that would do it off duty. And you can't say that a lot about officers, that they're willing to say, you know what, I don't need to get paid or get compensated for this activity. I'm here because this is my community and this is where I grew up and this is where I'm going to make prints of what I think a police officer should be. So again, it's our job to be a the best that we can be for the profession. It doesn't work the other way around.
I think
So
when you,
the last
yeah.
the last question I asked was just if y'all had any questions for me.
Well, I think I had asked earlier when that wasn't a question, but
Yeah.
I definitely think this is cool that you're doing that, you know. Just trying to get information now and see how it really is out here. And I hope everything works out well for you.
Yeah.
Alright, well, for those who are watching this video when it's posted on YouTube, thank you for watching. This was Season 2, Episode 2 of Behind the Scenes of Public Safety. Thank you to the San Antonio Police Department, to the PIO, and to the Community Engagement Department for helping set up this interview. Thank you for the officers who were kind enough to volunteer for this interview. If you haven't already checked out Season 1 or the other episode that was posted yesterday with Fire Chief Jim Pigg from South Padre Island, make sure to go check that out. If you would like to donate to help support this channel, to help us educate students on careers in public safety, make sure to go check out the links that will be in the description of this video. There will be a Cash App and a Refuge Medical link. If you purchase anything from there with my link, you do get 10% off, and that 10% does go to us to help us fund more interviews like this, and hopefully to get more in-person interviews and ride-alongs. So with that, we're going to end the video, and stay safe.
Thank you for your time, Riley.
Thank you.